Devana, one of the most important goddesses in Slavic mythology, was the protector of wild nature, hunting, forests, and the moon. Revered by early Slavic peoples and tribes in Eastern Europe, Devana cared for the forests and the animals living in them. She was often compared to the Roman goddess Diana. Her origin was a mystery. Some said she was born of the spirit of the forest itself, while others believed she was the embodiment of the wild essence of nature, and others, more believers, said she was the daughter of Perun, the god of thunder, and Peruna, the goddess of rain. Devana was known for her great beauty and strength. She had green eyes and dark hair braided with leaves and flowers. Her presence was imposing, and she was always accompanied by a white deer, a sacred animal that symbolized her union with the natural kingdom. Devana, from a very young age, demonstrated a special affinity with animals and the environment, being able to communicate with the creatures of the forest in a way that no one else could. Her skill with bow and arrow was unmatched. No hunter could match her skill, and her aim was unerring. However, Devana did not hunt for sport. He only did so when necessary to maintain the balance of the ecosystem or to protect his own. Her relationship with nature not only allowed her to become an excellent hunter, but also a guardian of the forests. However, not everyone looked favorably at the growing power of the young goddess. Veles, the god of the underworld and Perun's eternal rival, watched Devana's influence over mortals with suspicion. He decided to test the young goddess's abilities and at the same time try to diminish her popularity among humans. One day, Veles appeared before Devana in the form of a huge black bear, larger and fiercer than any ever seen before in the Slavic forests. The bear began to terrorize the villages, destroying crops and attacking livestock. Desperate villagers turned to Devana for help. The goddess, knowing it was a challenge, agreed to face the beast. Armed with her yew bow and silver arrows, Devana went deep into the forest in search of the monstrous bear. For days, Devana pursued the creature through the forests and steep mountains. The hunt tested all her cunning and skill. Finally, in a clearing illuminated by the full moon, Devana came face to face with the bear. The battle was fierce. The bear attacked with claws and fangs while Devana dodged and shot her arrows with precision. After a long struggle, the goddess managed to hit the beast's heart with an accurate shot. As the bear fell, its form changed, revealing Veles's true identity. The god of the underworld, impressed by Devana's skill and courage, accepted his defeat and promised never to challenge her again. Nearby villagers worshipped Devana, setting up altars in her honor and leaving offerings for her. They asked her for protection and good omens in their hunts. It was said that on full moon nights, Devana would appear in forest clearings, dancing with wolves and deer, celebrating life in its purest state. One of the most famous stories about Devana relates how she protected a small village from a pack of wolves during a particularly cruel winter. The wolves, desperate for food, began attacking the village's livestock. The villagers, fearing for their lives and livelihoods, built an altar and offered their most precious possessions to Devana, imploring for her intervention. Devana appeared before them, and by her presence alone, calmed the wolves and guided them back to the forest, assuring the villagers that they would always be protected as long as they respected nature. This intervention cemented her reputation as a righteous and powerful protector, reinforcing the people's devotion to her. The cult of Devana spread beyond the immediate villages, reaching all those who depended on the forest for their survival. Hunters wore amulets with her image, trusting in her guidance and protection. Thus, Devana was not only revered as a goddess of hunting and forests, but the Slavs also began to associate her with the fertility of the land and women. One year, a terrible drought struck the Slavic lands. Crops withered, rivers dried up, and famine threatened the villages. Desperate, the villagers turned to Devana for help. Moved by the suffering of the mortals, Devana decided to use her powers to restore the fertility of the land. She traveled throughout the Slavic regions, using her knowledge of plants and nature to revive the withered fields. Wherever Devana walked, the grass grew green and lush again. With her hands, she would touch the fruit trees and they would blossom again. Her presence attracted bees and other pollinators, which helped restore the natural balance. However, Devana knew that her direct intervention would not be enough to ensure long-term prosperity, so he decided to share his knowledge with mortals. She taught women the use of medicinal plants and the arts of midwifery. To the men, he showed them how to take better care of the land and animals. As part of this process, Devana instituted fertility festivals in her honor. These were held in the spring when nature was reborn after the long winter. During these festivals, young people performed ritual dances in the forests, purifying bonfires were lit, and offerings of flowers and fruits were made to the goddess. Devana, the Slavic goddess of hunting, nature, and the moon, was also associated with the lunar cycle. Just as the moon changes phase, Devana also experiences changes in her power and presence in nature. The new moon was a time of renewal and meditation for her and her followers. It was believed that during this phase, Devana descended to Earth to rejuvenate herself and prepare for a new cycle. The crescent moon represented rebirth and growth, and rituals of fertility and abundance were performed. With the full moon, Devana reached its maximum power. It was the night when great feasts and rituals were held in her honor, and it was believed that the goddess descended to Earth to dance and play with the forest animals. Finally, the waning moon represented a time of meditation and preparation for the new cycle. Devana's followers performed various rituals throughout the lunar month to honor their goddess and connect with the cycles of nature. During the new moon, they fasted and meditated, seeking a closer relationship with the divine. On the waxing moon, seeds were planted and offerings were made to the goddess to ensure a good harvest. With the full moon, great feasts and dances were held in honor of Devana, and it was believed that wishes expressed on this night were more likely to be fulfilled. On the waning moon, purification rituals were performed and things that were no longer useful were let go. The moon was very important in Devana culture. She represented mystery, femininity, intuition, and connection to the spiritual world. The goddess was often depicted with a moon disk on her forehead or in her hand, and her followers used moon-shaped amulets and talismans to protect themselves and attract good fortune. Although the explicit worship of Devana has diminished over the centuries, her spirit lives on in the traditions and customs of the Slavic peoples. The relationship with nature, the veneration of forests, and the celebration of lunar cycles are elements that are still present in many Slavic communities today. Festivals such as the summer solstice, associated with fertility and abundance, and the winter solstice, related to death and rebirth, keep alive the traces of ancient rituals dedicated to Devana. This video has been created for the Myth Comics channel. Thank you for delving into the magical world of Slavic mythology. See you in the next time.